Applications for special one-day licenses for those for malt beverages and wine only, or either one. Joe Salazar for Thursday, October 22nd, 2009, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. for a charity event at the UMass Lowell Boathouse on Pawtucket Boulevard. Jeffrey D. Prescott of the Merrimack Repertory Theater for scheduled theatrical performances and concession sales and service for 30 minutes prior to the performance and during a 15-minute intermission, starting with October 22nd and running through to November 8th. There are 14 dates in total. Last week, Mr. Prescott had filed an application in which he sought for 5 additional dates, starting with October the 15th through the 21st, and that was granted by the commission by a voice vote initiated by this executive secretary. Special one-day license for all alcoholic beverages for one day. Fernando M. Souza of the Holy Ghost Society for Holy Ghost Park at 65 Village Street. Dinner dance for Saturday, October 24th from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. Baptism dinner for Sunday, November 1st from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Banda dinner for Saturday, November 7th from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. Dinner dance for Radio Amizade for Saturday, November 14th from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. Dinner dance for the night Corina for Saturday, November 21st from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. Emmanuel Madonka wedding dinner dance for Saturday, November 28th from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. Daisy Martin's Sweet 15th event for Saturday, December 5th from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. Pony Garcia Sweet 15 event Saturday, December 12th from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. and the New Year's Eve party Thursday, December 31st from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. And last is a senior citizen event for Saturday, January 16, 2010 from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. Also, Vula Cannabis Danis for Saturday, November 14, 2009 from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. The event is Ladies Shopping Night. Its sponsor is the Hellenic American School PTA at the Hellenic Cultural Center at 41 Broadway.
Okay, if you're on the list there, if you come up to the podium, please, and introduce yourself for the record so we can make sure everybody's here. Joe? All right, Jeffrey Prescott. Okay. The rest of them are Fernando Souza. Okay.
And then Vula.
Vula. Yep, okay. Great. If you step right up there, sir. Okay, I mean, you look like you're at the top of the hit parade. Your event's tonight. Okay, how many, have you been before us before?
Just for our license application.
Just for, yeah, but not for a hearing.
Not for a hearing
Okay,
of this.
this is an event that you're catering for UMass?
UMass asked us to provide beer and service and food for.
And what kind of a party is it?
It's the reopening of the UMass Lowell Boathouse and a fundraising event for them.
Okay, you know, anytime that you mix college students with beer and wine or making, you know, it's tantamount to self-destruct. There's no two ways about it. I mean, these kids today can make up an ID so false, I mean, the good Lord himself couldn't tell the difference. So, you know, we're always very apprehensive about ever granting a license where we know it's when you have, you know, that's why one of the city frowns upon under 21 parties. It's almost impossible to tell today.
Commissioner Bayless,
Yes.
I believe the athletic director from UMass Lowell, Mr. Skinner,
Yeah.
is here.
Hi, folks. I'm Dana Skinner. I'm the AD. And first
Yes,
of all,
sir.
let me apologize for this being late. Normally, we have our own internal Aramark concessionaire that coordinates all this stuff and takes care of licenses. These folks were kind enough to work with us so that we didn't have to pay for it, and this was my mistake.
Okay.
I didn't realize that we had to go a different route in order to get the license, so I
Okay, but
apologize
the
for that.
license is going to
But-
be in his name, correct?
That's correct, that's
Okay.
correct. So let me comment on the student issue. There are no students here. This was a fundraising. Basically, what we did was, we want to have an open house. It took us well over a year to complete the renovations at the boathouse. They're done now, it's beautiful. And this is kind of a soft, open house to those folks that helped us renovate the facility, some folks in the city, some political folks, obviously. There are no students that are going to be over there. This has nothing to do with students. This is
Good.
an adult event, just to show it off a little bit and let people see the facility.
Fine, thank you for coming in, thank you for explaining that. That's our only concern. It's very difficult today to separate wheat from the shaft.
If any of my student athletes show up, I will suspend them from competition for the rest of the year, so they will not be there.
Okay, all right. So, let's see. Jeffrey, have you been before us before?
Yes, sir, I have.
You have, okay. And Fernando, where are you? Okay, Fernando, are you an officer at the
Sorry?
Holy Ghost? Are you an officer of the Board of Directors?
I'm a board director.
You're a director, okay? All right, have you been in here before us before? No.
No, I have not.
Okay, and Vula? You have? Okay, well, all right, I'm going to give the abbreviated version today, but certainly if you have any questions. This is your license. This license does not belong to the Merrimack Theater. This license does not belong to the Hellenic School. This license belongs to you. Your name is going to be on this license. So therefore, you must be ever vigilant because you are the one that is responsible. And today, it's unfortunate, we live in a society that nobody wants to take responsibility for the things they do. And they, they get a party going, or you hear about people having a time, and somebody says, oh, my daughter's 18, give her a sombrero. Well, we give her a sombrero, and an hour later, she falls down the stairs, and guess what? It's your fault. No, it's not the parents, it's your fault. You should have known. And that's not to scare you, it's just to try to make you be aware of what you're doing, okay? You must make sure that if you're not the actual bartender or person that's serving the beverages, that whoever you have there is a person that you can trust with your firstborn child. And that you'll be able to go out and know that that baby's going to be taken care of and you have nothing to worry about. Because that's how responsible a situation it is when you're doing this type of thing. Today, lawsuits are astronomical. And, we don't want anyone someday walking in that door, coming before us and saying, you should have told me. I didn't know. Now I've got a lawsuit and they're coming after my house and, So I tell you these things not to scare you because we need people like you. We want people like you. We want people like you to come in and run functions in the city to make the city a better place, to make your particular organization or group more successful. But unfortunately, there's only one person who puts his name or her name on the license, and that's why we tell you, at any point in time you think it's getting out of hand, especially like the theater, Unfortunately, we become a, society, people say, well, why are you going to pay, $5 for a beer at the theater when you can get a six-pack, sit out in the car, have a few beers. Then you go in and you're half-gassed. Then they get in an accident or they fall down and they say, oh, I was drinking at the theater. They're not going to tell you about sitting out in the car having a few belts before they walked in the door. So, you got to kind of constantly watch people and know the people that are around you and know what's going on. And at some point in time, if for any reason you feel that it's getting out of hand or something's being done that you don't like, you know what? You pick up and say, this is my license, the bar's closed. And if anybody gives you any grief, and I don't care who it is, you dial 911 and you ask the policeman at the other end to send somebody over to shut the bar down. And believe me, I shouldn't say that they're going to be happy to do it, but they're certainly going to be much happier to come over and help you resolve the issue than to show up later on investigating somebody who got killed or somebody who fell down the stairs and split their head open and is in the hospital. Okay? So those are the, we want you to do these things, but we want to make sure you understand the seriousness with which, Anything?
I have nothing to add. I want to make sure he gets out there so they can start at 4 o'clock. So I'll make the motion to go ahead and approve.
I just want to know what your definition of short is. That was the short version of that speech?
Well, we had some that have never been here, so I wanted to be sure they... You have any questions? No. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good luck. And thank you for coming in and explaining about the reception. Thank you, folks. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Commission will now take up a matter that has been continued from October the 8th, 2009, a hearing on the application for an all-alcoholic beverage restaurant license by SP Entertainment, Inc., Shane Cranmore, treasurer, for premises at 25 Market Street, 2 unnumbered doors north side and unnumbered door west side of building, 1 room for lounge, kitchen, and office. It is requested that Shane Cranmore be approved as the manager of record for SP Entertainment, Inc. SP Entertainment, Inc. has filed applications for the following minor licenses: Common Vittler, entertainment and licensed restaurant, live music, soloist, band, disc jockey, and also for automatic amusement device.
Introduce yourself for the record, please.
George Theolides Jr., 133 Market Street, Lowell, and I represent the applicant, Mr. Chairman.
This is a matter that had been put over to inquire about an issue. That issue has been resolved. I believe the public hearing had been opened and closed at last time, and now
Right.
it's just questions and proceeding.
Okay, do we have, I guess my question there,
You're all set.
we're all set, so
All
we don't
set.
have to go back into executive
Nope,
session?
all set.
Okay,
Well, I looked at the application, I think it's great that you're investing in the city of Lowell, and I see no reason why that I wouldn't vote to approve it, and I wish you good luck in the future.
okay, you know, I echo the same. I want you to know that your location down there is right in the center of a neighborhood. And I'm sure that Attorney Liades will make sure you understand that. That particular place, unfortunately, the way it's located, it has, I don't know, are they condos or apartments? And then there's an elderly, St. John, no, Father John's coffee.
I've made them well aware of that
They gotta be,
situation,
they gotta
Mr.
be,
Chairman.
because they should know that, you know, in the past, when it got out of hand, the neighborhood, they'll turn up here, believe me. We'll have a lynching on our hands, and it just, you know, but it's a nice location, it's a nice place. And as long as the issues have been resolved, I'll second the motion.
I'll just add, look, I wish you well, all right, and I will echo that, you know, the units that are right across from you, right across the street, are very active. They do come down here when they have problems with noise, when they have problems with crowds in the street. They have come to us before with issues. We do take them seriously, so, you know, that's going to be incumbent on you guys running the business, keeping an eye on people not only while they're in the place, but while they're coming in and while they're leaving, so that you don't have people blocking traffic, noise that's waking people up at 2 in the morning. You know, just ask you to be good neighbors, because like you, those people have invested in the city as well, so they deserve the benefit of that.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor say yes.
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 We thank you very much.
Good luck.
Okay?
Brian, am I all? Brian, am I all set? We all set?
Commission will now take up the matter of an application by Hamel Motor Sales, Inc., used car dealer number 576-B, licensee at 155 Pawtucket Boulevard, for a change of corporate officers, directors, Russell D. Hamill and Michael C. Hamill to be new officers, directors. This is the premises of an open lot of 6,300 square feet with an office on the second floor of a two-story building. The office is 360 square feet, also at 147 Pawtucket Boulevard. That is on 147 Pawtucket Boulevard. Then there is an open lot, approximately 4,500 square feet, with a maximum of vehicles at 155 Pawtucket Boulevard for 12. 147 has a maximum of 9 vehicles. And these are all matters that were at some point previously before the Zoning Board of Appeals.
So all they're doing is changing corporate offices, right?
Yes, Russell Hamill for the record. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. We had any problems with the used car lot?
No, not that I'm aware of, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I don't see any problem with it. Anybody?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
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 Thank you.
You're all set?
If you wish to see me tomorrow afternoon, that's fine. Members of the Commission, Mrs. Ann Marie Page of Centerville Neighborhood Action Group is here to address you regarding a petition that has been signed by residents and individuals that have a business interest in the vicinity of the establishment known as Willie Tops at 731 Lakeview Avenue.
Introduce yourself for the record, please.
My name is Anne Marie Page, 26 Fremont Street, Lowell, Massachusetts, and I sit on the board of the Centerville Neighborhood Action Group. I'm the past president of the Centerville Neighborhood Action Group.
Okay.
We have handed in a petition to your law department in regards to the business, the bar, called Willie Tops, located on Lakeview Avenue in Lowell. Due to loud and rowdy behavior, our quality of life has been infringed upon, our constitutional right for safety in our homes and neighborhoods have been threatened, and our personal properties have been devalued. Willie Tops is grossly undermanaged, disrespects the city's designated closing times, and more importantly, disrespects their neighbors and abutters' right to peace and quiet, safety, and the quality of life. In light of a recent article in The Sun with regards to a recent murder and the possible link to Willie Tops, we ask that immediate action be taken to close the establishment down. I did sit in on the meeting that you had here on October 24th, and I thank you very much for trying to explain to them the seriousness of operating a bar. I did appreciate your short version 10 minutes ago. I thought it was very precise. And when you look at the petition, the majority of people are Lowell in Centerville, but there are some people from out of town that are clients to some of the businesses. And some of the businesswomen have actually said to me they have lost a few clients because their clients have said to them, I can no longer come to that neighborhood. That's not good. So this seems to be October. There must be something in the moon because last October we sent you a letter on another bar on Lakeview Avenue. And now here we are with this one. So somebody needs to read them the riot act, which you did read them very well on October 24th. But I think they need to realize the seriousness. This is not like running a candy store. This is very serious. They need to follow their rules. They need to police themselves, not interfere with the neighbors. You've had this incident, this bar, the other bar on Lakeview Avenue. We have quite a few complaints because of the same reason. Loudy, noise, go beyond the time they're supposed to close, come out with bottles in their hand, throw the bottles in the neighborhood. Inappropriate behavior outside of the bar in the neighborhood. So we know this is against all your rules. We are asking you to please keep an eye on them and to please be a little stricter. I understand first time might be a slap in the hand and a warning, maybe second time has to be a little stricter. That's what we're requesting of you, your support.
Well, I think that, excuse me, okay. I think you have had, our process is not one of investigation of going out. We judge the complaint, the complaint comes in. they have served their suspension up to this point now. Now, as I understand it, they're still going to appeal to the state against the early closing, from what I understand, okay? No, they're not. Okay?
The matter of the earlier closing is not something they can appeal.
I didn't,
It's
okay.
when they were closed down, that decision, they're appealing that decision.
Oh, okay, all right, so they're appealing the decision that they've already served. Okay, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. The point being that, you know, it's served, and they've done their time, and whatever financial loss they've suffered. See, a lot of folks don't understand, we can close somebody, as we did them.
Right.
Okay, and just to give you an example, if they decided the next day to get a stay until it was heard by the state, when they go to the state's going to say, we uphold the decision to be closed for the 5 or 10 days, whatever it may be.
Right.
Or you may pay us this much money. And the state has a formula that allows the bars to pay off the fine, a fine based on the number of days, and they don't have to serve the time. You didn't know that, did you?
From what I understand, they did not appeal it. They just
No,
took the punishment.
Well, they didn't, they appealed it back to us.
So now they're going to appeal it.
We had a special meeting.
In other
Now,
words,
they were gonna- They're
retroactive.
still going to appeal it to the state for the time served.
Right.
That we closed them. I've never heard of it. Have you ever heard of that being done before? I've never heard of it.
So are your hands tied by the state?
No.
No.
But a lot of times folks don't understand that a decision rendered by this board necessarily doesn't stand if it's appealed to Boston. If we give them a closing and Boston decides that we were right in closing them, the alternative is Boston can give them a formula by which they figure out a fine, and they pay so much money to the state, and they don't have to serve the closure.
But they have already served the
But they've
closure.
already served that, so I don't know how that's
Right.
going to work. I have
That'll
no
work.
idea. Maybe the secretary does.
If I could just
Yeah.
clarify one thing with regard to the local licensing authorities.
Yeah.
Local board doesn't have the authority to fine a licensee in lieu of a suspension on its decision to suspend license. However, if the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission, the state licensing board, on its own action, by suspending a license of its own doing, on investigation of their own investigator, suspend a license because of violation, in lieu of that suspension of license taking effect, the licensee can petition the ABCC to pay a fine based on a formula of the number of days closed. If it's acceptable to the ABCC, then in lieu of closing the establishment, the fine is paid to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. But that opportunity is not available to the licensing board.
Right.
Locally.
Locally.
Right.
Even, so on an appeal of a local board's decision, if the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission upholds the licensing board's action, the only recourse the licensee would then have is to appeal that decision to the Superior Court. If the ABC does not uphold the local board's action, they can send it back to the local board for a new hearing, recommend a new hearing. It's up to the local board to make a decision as to whether they wish to hold a new hearing if that decision they had rendered earlier is not something that the ABC will condone or support. But that then becomes a local matter. And then whether they would hold a new hearing or impose that suspension of license regardless of the ABC's action on sending it back to the local board. At this point in time, with respect to Lily Tops, they have served their suspension.
Yes, they have.
The question is, they still wish to appeal that decision of the suspension of their license, and it's now scheduled for middle of November, if in fact it takes place at all, but that's how it's scheduled at the moment.
Can you tell us, did they take the mirrors down out of the windows?
I haven't gone by.
Yeah,
I got a phone call
Captain
that
Will?
there was a window broken. That's the only phone call I got. But I
you
haven't
gone by?
received anything.
I went by there yesterday. I don't think all of the covering is off the windows. There were a couple of windows that it looked like some work was being done to them, so they might be in the process. They haven't completed it, though.
Okay. Well, I thought we had come up with something that they...
Shouldn't be reopened
that-
then, should
That's
they?
right, they shouldn't be open.
According to the decision we
The
rendered,
decision
right?
we rendered, I remember Brian brought that up.
I don't know if they have in fact been open
We
for
say
business.
that they had to close it within 7 days or before they reopen.
Now, they're still serving the rollback of hours, which was
Yes.
to follow on and after
Yeah, but the other thing was,
suspension.
they weren't supposed to open up
I thought that
until
was clear.
they took that stuff out of the windows.
They may not. I mean, closing at 11 o'clock for a
that's
bar,
gonna
or
be open,
club,
but that's
or
independent.
nighttime establishment.
I never thought- saw
I mean,
that.
if you open at 8 o'clock and close at 11, you've got no clients. So realistically, rolling their hours back is a much more effective means of discipline from this board than a suspension or a revocation of a license. It's not subject to appeal, and it has the same or greater effect, so, than closing, and eliminates a lot of issues. So when we get you know, when we get people yelling revoke, or, you know, close, they're actually taking the less intelligent of the two options for impact and effect. They're creating issues for appeal.
Well, I would think if they can't understand Mr. Bayless's short version, I'm sure they could understand it when it
Yeah,
gets
but a lot of times these people, you know,
Right.
and not to be debating
when they
it,
get
but-
to their wallet.
Right.
That's the
See, a
only
lot of
thing they'll
times, I
understand.
mean, you can do all you want. Our main concern on that, to be honest, is a lot of folks that come in for a one-day license.
Right.
Well, you know, and sometimes, you know, people will say to me, you really scare them. Well, I don't want to really scare them, but they got to understand that, I mean, society has changed.
Right.
You know, and you know, we have a new sheriff in town, but also the thing there is that, you know, you have to understand that the state's not going to allow this board, the first time somebody walks in with a complaint, unless it's, you know, some real, you know, the state says you're supposed to, like, warn them once and then slap their hand the next time and then kiss them on the cheek and
Right.
make
Maybe-
sure you don't get them
right.
emotionally upset. and-
Maybe we need
know.
to speak with our state reps to
All right.
notify them that maybe Boston shouldn't be making the decisions on our quality of life here. And if there's a fine, maybe it shouldn't go to Boston.
It should go to the
Maybe it
local,
should
I've
come
always
to
said
Lowell.
that. I've always said that. It
Right.
should go to the local police department.
Right.
I mean, you know, everybody's
It
got
should.
budget cuts and you're
Right.
putting people out there. I mean, I've said that all along. But the other problem also is that they never go after the youngsters who pass the false ID. They arrest the guy that owns the store.
Right.
And they would expect us to shut the store down, but this kid is out talking to the next one down the street, figuring out a way around it. I commend you for your involvement in the community, because just as you're involved, there are others that sit on the outside and do nothing but complain.
No.
But yet never step up to the
Right.
plate and say, you know, and I know that, I think I can very safely say, you know, you call the police department, I'm sure they know who you are. I'm sure that, you know, you tell the folks that live around there, if they're open after 2 o'clock and they wake up, that's what you call 911
Right,
for,
and
and
that's
you get
what
them
we tell
out.
them.
And I mean, you know,
Right.
eventually, somebody's gonna get sick and tired of getting the call.
That's right.
And then, you know, they're gonna go in there, and then we'll come and see them, and we'll give them some time to maybe take lessons to learn how to read a clock or something, I don't know, you know, but,
Maybe an alarm or something. But we depend on you, we depend on the police department, they're always there for us. But unless we come here and, like you said, unless we make it noticeable that something's wrong
Yeah.
and it's interfering with the quality of life in the neighborhood, how are you gonna know? If
No,
we don't
it's
tell
true.
you, or the police doesn't tell, how are you gonna know you're not there? So that's why we're here. We're here to tell you, we depend on you to crack the whip, and we depend on the state to crack the whip, and we'll have no problem telling them that, and we appreciate the police department when they come to our rescue.
thank you, Mary.
Thank you very much for your time, gentlemen.
You're welcome, thank you. You can put that in Willie Top's file.
Commission will now take up the matter of an application by Valdir Lima Borba for a used car dealer's license, Class 2, for premises at 511 Middlesex Street. Licensee of record for 2009 is Leandro Renato Diaz, doing business as Advanced Auto Sales. License number is 681-B. It's an open lot of 4,000 square feet with a one-story building, approximately 750 square feet. In June of 2002, the Zoning Board of Appeals had granted a special permit with the condition that the maximum number of cars for sale is limited to 8.
Okay, introduce yourself for the record.
Yes, my name is Valdir Borba. I've been occupying the premises at 511 Middlesex Street since March as usage of my other business. And a couple months ago was by the seller made me, aware that he was selling it. I made an offer, it was accepted, and I'm closing the purchase Monday. The current licensee been using somewhere else's business, and that's why I'm here today to apply for my own license.
Okay, the gentleman who has the license, Leandro Renato Diaz, where is he?
He's operating his business 2 blocks away.
Does he have a license for the place 2 blocks away?
I'm not sure.
Mr. Secretary, if we issued a license to this individual to operate at another location, okay, can I make a motion then that we send him some notice to be brought in? Okay.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Seconded? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Okay. The problem here is that, when we have a letter here and everything, I understand what the, I don't see, the problem is you can't have 2 used car licenses for the same piece of property,
Understood?
okay?
Was there-
So we're gonna have to get him in here.
Or he's going to have to turn his license in.
Or he's gonna have
before
to-
we can give you one for that same location.
Is there possible for the commission to cancel his license?
We can't cancel a license because I don't know, I shouldn't have said that. We have a letter saying that he's not on the property from the owner.
Have to have a hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to have a hearing.
We have to have a hearing for that, too.
So
Yeah,
that was the
yeah.
basis of my motion, was that if he's not there and the
okay,
license
yeah.
is not
But
being
could we
used at that
approve
address.
Mr. Borba's license on the condition that the other license gets turned into us?
I think it becomes problematic when literally you would have, at least for a time being, 2 licenses at the same establishment. Again, I think it's cleaner.
I think what he's suggesting is approve it, but don't issue it until such time as we've retrieved the other.
If the, what's the guy's name?
He's gonna buy and sell on the
If
property.
he brings it in tomorrow, we could issue him the new license. Could we do that?
If he surrenders it.
Yeah,
But
that's all.
Yeah.
then he would be, he's gonna have his own problems if he's running.
That's
Well,
his
that's
I just
his
trying
problem.
to take care of this gentleman.
Yeah, but according to the.
You could do that, but again, it would be on the condition that it is surrendered in
Right,
hand
that's,
to.
that's all.
Yeah.
That's all I want to make sure we do that.
I have attached to 3 or 4 pictures of the current
Yeah,
address.
we saw it. It looks like you wanna put 12 cars in there? The license was approved for 8,
No, 4 cars only.
huh?
8, he said that. You're only 8 cars.
Yes.
Only 8, well, okay. I just looked at this, I guess I looked at it wrong. Doesn't that look like 12 cars?
Okay.
There's 14 spots.
He did not submit a plan of the premises with his
okay.
initial application, but let me just explain something, if I may. The Zoning Board of Appeals had to grant a special permit for the sale of secondhand motor vehicles in the open lot, and they did that in 2002. That is the submittal by the applicant at that time, Mr. Paul Tontonado. He was requesting, I think, at least 14 cars when he petitioned the zoning board for a special permit. They granted him the special permit, but they limited him to 8 cars,
Okay.
and that's what the license stipulates now.
I'll make a motion to approve the license pending the surrender of the license that's currently in effect for the property address.
Yeah, I'll second that. That means that we're gonna vote now, and if we approve it, you'll be granted the license as soon as
The other license is
the other
turned in.
license is turned in, okay, from Mr. Diaz.
If it becomes problematic, if we create problems to him.
If he does not turn it in, we've also already taken a vote to summons him in for the next hearing to determine whether or not to cancel his license. So if he turns it in voluntarily before then, you can get a license. All right? If not, then we'll need you back at the next date.
Okay, very good.
All right?
Okay.
Are we on the
that's
same
perfect.
page?
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
Ryan? Did we pass the one to notify the fellow to come in? Did we take a vote on that?
Yes, we did.
We did?
We didn't take a vote on this one, no.
Okay.
All right.
So we have
So
a
I'll
vote.
second your motion.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor, say yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
You're all set, yeah.
With respect to, there are two applications on file, and legal notices are scheduled to be published in the local newspaper, in Friday's paper, tomorrow's paper, October the 23rd. One is for a beer and wine package store license by a person by the name of Sean Ganem, doing business at a 7-Eleven store for premises at 55 Chelmsford Street. There is a second application for legal notice to be published, and this involves a transfer of the all-alcoholic beverages packaged goods store license presently in the name of Atlantic Liquors, Inc., DBA J. Silver Package Store, Charles E. Byrne, President. It's to be transferred to a corporation known as L&M Liquors, Inc., Jose P. Mendonca, President, for premises at 424 Chelmsford Street. Both matters to be heard, scheduled to be heard from Thursday, November the 5th. That's
I'll have to recuse myself on the transfer of Atlantic Liquors, Inc. For that day. Just
For the whole day?
No, on that
Just
day.
that one thing?
That one, that white item, yeah, one item.
There's no paid vacation days.
No, I'm fully aware of that. So
Okay.
as long as the other
Just-
two.
I just checked my calendar.
Yeah.
I'll be here.
Yeah, okay. All right, that, you don't need any motions on that, right? To bring them in, to notify them? No, okay.
They'll be coming.
Anybody got anything you want to bring up? I got one thing I'd like to run by everybody.
Oh, I actually got one thing
Go.
before. I was thinking about this after a wise attorney I was speaking to brought it up. Is this upcoming Saturday, or not this Saturday, but the following Saturday is Halloween, and it also coincides with daylight savings time ending and reverting back to standard time. And I believe at 2 a.m. on that daylight savings time, it then jumps back to 1 a.m. And just, it's Halloween, so I know that's a big night for the alcohol establishments here in the city. So just to make it clear to everyone, I think that first 2 a.m., that's closing time, correct? Because I know that some places may say, try to play cute and say, well, now it's 1 a.m.
1, yeah.
And an extra hour would be had, and I don't want the police department to have to run into that.
I would agree with that interpretation, that again, daylight savings is a legal fiction. The policy limits, or the policy behind 2 a.m. is they want a definite number, not to exceed a definite number of hours, and that once it hits 2:45, that's last call, and it doesn't reset when it goes back.
Well, I wouldn't call daylight savings a fiction, though. It has real effects on my sleep cycle. But okay, no, I agree with you, because we generally have,
down in New
now look,
Jersey.
we have last call is at, 1:30 anyway, so should be done. Everybody's
Right, you only
supposed to
get,
be
you
out.
only get one last call, you don't get
Right.
two.
So that's why I just want to
Hey, don't
make it clear.
Don't get
for-
last call and reset it, reset a half hour later. But my understanding is I think most of the people who are working in the establishments and clubs would be more than happy to get everybody out, because they've got to clean up and go home. And they're in for another 2 to 3 hours after all the patrons leave, so.
We only deal with one closing a night. We're not going to give them a chance to have two.
Right.
Yeah.
And we always tell them they have to wait till 11 o'clock Sunday morning to reopen, whichever comes first.
one other thing that I just was, really kind of concerned me was, when we have a case that comes before us, and it seems to me that we try to give the attorneys as much time as possible. But I do believe that in certain instances, we shouldn't be automatically granting, a stay from an extension, if you will. Got, the extension on this next case, when you get a, package store with a complaint that, they're serving minors and, people are coming from other communities and whatnot to everybody, and you've, both of you know, in my short and long of it, I've always said that once you sell to a minor, the word spreads through Lowell High School and all across the land. That's where you can go to buy. And I just wondered if we should be, granting an extension in a situation like that.
Well, that is something, when something comes in and it's prior to a board meeting, all of you are contacted individually because you need to make a decision.
Right.
Collectively, and then, you would announce that, look, that continuance was granted, that each of you would have a vote. So it's not that anyone other than the License Commission can grant a continuance, but again, when it's in between a meeting, and if you want to, in this case, let the officers know ahead of time so they're not coming in or scheduling. My understanding is that Mr. Nguyen contacted each individually.
He did.
And
and I said yes to
although
it.
one thing
I'm not,
one thing I would say is, that's probably a good thing to address right now, is that it did come in, it was in between meetings, that Mr. Nguyen contacted each of you, and then the vote was allowed and it was rescheduled to, I think, the 19th. That's probably something to let, whoever's watching know, because the last time it was in was going to be on for
next week.
Today, actually, I think.
Today, that's right, today. Right.
If I could, just the other thing is I recall several years ago, when issue regarding a request by an attorney representing a licensee, or anyone, whether it be an attorney or somebody, requesting a continuance on a scheduled hearing date on allegations of a complaint, a violation specifically from the superintendent, in order to ensure that there was no police presence, witnesses being booked or scheduled to appear for the meeting, and suddenly, all of a sudden, on the 24 hours before the time of the hearing, the request comes in, and suddenly, well, should we honor that request? But the police have already been scheduled to appear, and maybe there's some stipulation in a union contract with patrolmen with the city that they have to be paid regardless if they're not being properly notified in a suitable time frame. Point being, in each and every notice of hearing, there is a statement at the bottom of at the end of the notice of hearing, in which a request for continuance has to be at least 4 days prior to the date of the hearing. But I don't know whether that should be somewhat changed or altered in such a way that that doesn't guarantee, even though that request comes in, whether that would be. I think the way it's presented, the way I perceived it, was that if you were asking for a continuance, at least several years ago when that request was to be made, 98% of the time the commission was going to allow for the continuance, provided it was done, say, by Friday or Monday of that day of that week's scheduled hearing.
It did come in because we did have the problem where, from my standpoint, it's a question of allocation of resources, where it's like, look, you have the police officers, they have scheduling issues you need to address, they have opportunities for other things, they may be working, they may need to be pulled off, so you want to know sooner rather than later.
Sure.
Secondly, from my standpoint of, look, what do I need to prepare, the same way that I would assume you'd want to know, it's like, look, do you need to review the complaint ahead of time? Do you need to do anything before, to prepare for it? and you'd rather know sooner rather than later. Just because it says you need to file it 3 or 4 days before, it doesn't mean it's a guarantee. It just means there's enough time for, because again, if someone asks for a continuance the day of, or they don't show up, or it's the previous day, there may not be time to contact you, there may not be time to call off witnesses, so it's trying to find a working solution, and, each case is case-by-case basis as to whether or not to allow it or not allow it, and that's up to the three of you to determine whether or not the grounds exist to either grant the continuance or you could deny the continuance. It would be a case-by-case determination.
I think we've done a pretty good job in striking a balance. I mean, we more or less ask for people to give us as much notice as practicable, at minimum 4 days, and that's so that we can plan who needs to be here ahead of time. And there are always going to be emergencies that come up. You could have medical illnesses, you could have accidents, you could have anything that could come up that could create a new emergency. But generally, when it's a scheduling issue, people usually know in advance. There have been times when people have had scheduling conflicts, myself included, where a trial goes over a day, and you thought you were going to be free that day, and suddenly you're not because you were held over. It happens. But for the most part, when we have people who are giving us a heads up that there is a definite scheduling conflict, and it is something that, for lack of a better term, outranks us. Generally a superior court judge would outrank a license commission. Federal court judge would outrank the superior court judge. When those things happen, there's a little bit of a priority. And, we know we can at least address it and call off any resources with sufficient notice that we don't disrupt everybody else's day for it. So I think we've been handling it pretty well.
And I think in this instant matter, the attorney that requested the continuance has been in front of us before, and we know where he is, and he's always been courteous to us. And I think extending him that professional courtesy of granting him a
I didn't mean to
continuance is one time. And I know that the allegations are serious, but I don't think another 2 weeks as a professional courtesy in this instant matter is that big of a deal.
Yeah.
That's my opinion, anyway.
Oh, no, I didn't mean it against anyone in particular.
Right.
It's just that particular, complaint was a little more grievous, as far as the severity of it. I mean, it happening on such a regular, it's what we were talking about earlier today at the meeting was, these kids will find out a place to go, and you can't get rid of them once they get in there.
Right, and that's all, again, you're each entitled to your individual opinion, but when it comes down to it, if it's, you need 2 votes and it's been continued, you can state your point, but, it's on for November 19th.
Yeah,
and-
that one. Okay. Anything else?
Yes, just to
Oh,
follow,
boy.
on this notice of hearing regarding this particular matter, it still stands as far as the board is concerned, as far as requesting if a continuance is to be requested, it should be done not less than 4 days before the hearing date.
Right.
Okay, but is there anything in that sentence or a follow-up sentence in which I should include, but the vote of the board will be contingent upon the secretary of the board contacting each member to get their permission, vote of a...
I don't think you need to amend it. I
You
think
don't
it's
need to
pretty
put
much,
that in. Yeah, they would know
it's
that.
pretty much understood.
And if you can't reach us, hey, they lose. That's no big deal.
Look,
we could have
You make the
as
best
much
you-
time as possible.
look, we try to do it as best we can, because
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
be honest, even if you couldn't reach us, and we had a day where they came in, and the guy stands up and says, well, my lawyer's not here because a superior court judge told him he's not leaving the building. At that point, I'll make the motion
And again,
to
there
give it
are
a
instances
continuance.
when, if for some reason
Right.
something happens and you're
And-
not
and-
around, and the lawyer calls me up and says, look, I'm being held day to day in X court, I'll say, look, I'll make that judgment call, because I don't want to have the officers, I don't want to inconvenience
Sure.
witnesses and stuff, and then I'll just come before, and I know I've done it in the past where I said, look, the attorney called me up, said he can't be here,
Yeah.
we couldn't reach you guys in time, and so, you make the
Yeah,
best
but
judgment.
and for Ryan, he chases us no matter where, either down the Cape and he's calling.
and-
Can't get away from it. It's like a sore tooth.
Continuances, I think, have generally been kind of a two-way street. I mean, I know that the law department has requested continuances with hearings on license commission matters to the ABCC, and those have been granted. And so we've asked for them, they've asked for them. It's a scheduling issue. I don't think,
It's like
you know,
anyone who's
it's-
in any court forum knows that
Right.
either side asks for continuances. They're not, you know,
And you're generally trying to
Unusual.
merge, you know, not just your schedule and their schedule, but your schedule, their schedule, a judge's schedule, a board's schedule, and all your witnesses' schedules.
Okay.
It's not perfect, but we do a pretty good
Fine,
job.
okay, just as long as they, because I mean, when I was talking, and that was one of my concerns, was it a thing that they assumed no matter what they were gonna, you know, so I'm glad that we, anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn,
Seconded.
seconded, all in favor, say yes.
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 Coming home, Benjamin.